Let's take a look at Essay 2 from the July 2023 California Bar Exam. Tuesday morning, 3-hour session. You would already have written the first essay, which in this bar was a partnership essay, not a particularly tricky fact pattern, but still, as all bar essays, difficult to finish in 1 hour. Then you turn the page, and what you see is a very short hypothetical. The call of the question reads, "What products liability claims may Paul bring against Dishway?" That is an absolute gift. It not only tells you the subject clearly, but it narrows it down to one small area of the subject, which in our method of outlining the law means that it would be on 1.5 pages of our schema. And that's all the law you would need to know. Products liability hypotheticals are pretty straightforward to analyze. You need to find multiple theories of liability, and if you have a good organization of the law in mind, it's relatively straightforward to work through it. So let's take a look at our organization. We go to Proponics, to Tort, and open that up and scroll down to Products Liability. And let's look at the 6 theories of liability you should consider and probably analyze for products liability. On the California Bar, the game with products liability is to get at least 4 of these theories analyzed well in your answer, preferably 5. If you can cover all 6, great. Likely 1 or 2 of them will not apply, will not work, but it's fine to say that that's another theory and explain why it's not relevant here. So look at theory 1, strict liability in tort. And there you see our rule statement and a note that we have to amplify that rule statement. A commercial seller who places a defective product in the stream of commerce is strictly liable in tort for injuries to persons or property from a foreseeable use of the product. And then we have elements that need to be analyzed and proved up. And the most relevant part of this schema is the kinds of breaches or defect that apply here. One is a manufacturing defect, another is a design defect, and a third is failure to warn. Now, when you think about defenses, this is strict liability. So assumption of the risk is a defense, but your other usual defenses in tort do not work because they're fault-based. They don't apply to strict liability. Okay, the second theory is negligence, straightforward negligence. The third theory is breach of implied warranties, and there are 2 types of implied warranties. The implied warranty of merchantability and the warranty of intended use. There are defenses associated there as well. Then we move to theory 4, breach of an express warranty. Sometimes they give us one of those, sometimes they don't. We'll see in this hypothetical. Let's open it up. Express warranty, a statement of fact or promise by a commercial seller. That creates an express warranty that becomes part of the basis of the bargain. And again, there are elements. All of this should be in your active memory by the time you take the bar exam. The 5th theory is misrepresentation. To find that, you need to find a material misrepresentation that the defendant intended to induce reliance. Sometimes we can meet that intent element, and other times it's just not there in the facts. That's the 5th theory. The 6th theory is battery. A commercial seller is liable for injuries caused by an unsafe product if the defendant intended the consequences. That one is, I think, least often applicable, but there it is. It's the 6th theory. So very, very straightforward set of theories of liability, and you just need to know and understand the detail involved in each of them. Then, based on your hypothetical, we work our way down through the theories. I would head note each of those theories in my answer and analyze it using as many facts as you possibly can. Because on the California bar, and I'm sure on most bars, it's not enough to know the law. You have to be able to grab all of the facts that are relevant out of that hypothetical and use them. On the California bar, there are very, very, very rarely irrelevant facts. For the most part, in our hypotheticals, every single fact is legally relevant and should be used in your analysis of some issue. But now back to the hypothetical to see what we were given here. Dishway developed a new dishwasher powder that it named Ultra Clean. The company advertised widely that Ultra Clean was a revolutionary safe product with the most powerful cleaning agent ever. Okay, those advertisements contain express warranties. So we know that we'll have an express warranty. When you look at what they advertised, break it down into its component parts. They call it revolutionary, they call it safe, and they say it's the most powerful cleaning agent ever. Which of those is going to turn out to be untrue? Probably safe, for one thing. All right, goes on to say this advertisement accurately represented that Ultra Clean contained a new cleaning agent that made the product more effective than other dishwasher powders. So arguably revolutionary was not inaccurate. Most powerful was not inaccurate. Safe is going to turn out to be a problem. Second paragraph says, Dishway knew the cleaning agent could cause severe stomach pain if ingested. Doesn't that make it unsafe under certain circumstances? So I would tie that fact to their express warranty that it was safe. And I'm focused in on that issue of safety. Okay, so they knew it could cause severe stomach pain if ingested, but this is true of all detergent products, which makes me think that warning is going to be a key issue here. If it's true of all detergent products and they knew that theirs could cause severe stomach pain, they'd better do a really good job of warning about that, and odds are they're not going to do that. What Dishway did not know was that a potentially dangerous amount of Ultra Clean residue tended to remain on aluminum cookware after a wash cycle. You can see it coming, can't you? Paul is going to use aluminum cookware in the dishwasher with that new product, and he's going to wind up with severe stomach pain. That one is what they're leading into. It's not unusual for dishwasher powders to leave a harmless amount of residue on different surfaces. During product development, Dishway tested Ultra Clean on some surfaces but not on aluminum because there was no indication that it would work differently on aluminum than on other surfaces. Well, think back to the breaches in strict liability. Manufacturing defect, I don't see that yet. Design defect, the product is made as intended, but there are foreseeable risks that are avoidable by a reasonable alternative design. And without that alternative design, the product is unreasonably unsafe. Also think about plain negligence. Would a reasonably prudent manufacturer have tested it on all kinds of surfaces? They go on to tell us that the residue is not detectable to the eye. I think that's to preclude the defense of assumption of the risk or some sort of negligence on Paul's part. There was no flaw in Dishway's manufacturing process. Bingo, no manufacturing defect. Dishway's instructions on the product only stated that the product should not be ingested. Okay, that's a pretty poor warning. You can claim that they were negligent in failure to warn. You can use that in your strict liability theory, that there was a breach in that the warning was inadequate. All of these facts can be used for negligence. They can also be used for strict liability. I'm going to write myself some notes on the fact pattern right now to make sure I don't forget. They clearly told me no manufacturing defect, and this failure to warn is being pointed out here. When they tell you instructions on the product only stated, they're signaling to you that you should argue that that was inadequate. Okay, Paul purchased a box of Ultra Clean from Dishway. The first time he used it was to wash some aluminum pots. Of course, that was inevitable. You could see that coming a mile off. The next day, Paul used several of those pots to prepare a meal. Shortly after finishing the meal, Paul experienced severe stomach pain, which required him to be hospitalized. So they're giving you the damage he experienced, and they are telling you that the product resulted in harm. You can use that in all of your theories. Laboratory test results revealed the cleaning agent in Ultra Clean caused Paul's stomach pain. So they've literally given you actual cause and foreseeable cause for your negligence analysis. And it's usually the case in a product's liability hypothetical that they include facts that basically give you several of the elements in more than one of the causes of action in products liability, because these are such a racehorse. You got to analyze strict liability, you've got to do a negligence analysis, and you've got to do some of the other theories to find liability in products liability. So let's go back and remember what those were. So start with strict liability. We have a foreseeable plaintiff and a foreseeable use, and you can prove that up. We have more than one way to find a breach or a defect. We don't have a manufacturing defect, and I would want to tell the grader that, but we do have a design defect. It was made as intended, and there were foreseeable risks that were avoidable by a reasonable alternative design. In other words, not using that particular chemical. And without alternative design, the product is unreasonably unsafe. They also gave us a pretty poor warning, so we can find a defect in the warning. Failure to warn is generally there in a product's liability hypothetical. They gave us actual and proximate cause, and they told us explicitly what Paul's damage was, that he had such severe stomach pain that he had to be hospitalized. Okay, the second theory is negligence, and you can build a negligence case in a pretty straightforward way, and I'm not going to go into that detail here. Everybody has studied negligence to death. Next, we have breach of implied warranties. Two types. Warranty of merchantability. That says that the goods are of fair and average quality and they're fit for the ordinary purpose. Here you can find a breach by finding an absence of warning, and we've already talked about that. What about the warranty of intended use? It has to be fit for its intended use, and the buyer must rely on the seller's recommendation. Well, Paul relied on the fact that the seller said this product was safe, and it wasn't. Okay, that does implied warranties. What about express warranty? That guarantee that this product was safe is what I would analyze under here. Statement of fact or promise concerning the goods, We have a commercial seller. That safety was a basis of the bargain. And we have causation and damages here. All right, what about misrepresentation? Here I would tell the grader that this theory is probably not going to work because there's no evidence of intent to induce reliance on a material misrepresentation. They didn't know that it was unsafe. The same way with the intent theory. There was no intent to cause these consequences. So now you can see that a product's liability hypothetical is an absolute racehorse, that it's really difficult to complete in the amount of time you're given. If you have not adequately prepared for this, if you haven't memorized this list of theories and the elements involved in these theories, then you're going to have a really difficult time completing a hypothetical like this. If you have memorized it, you can complete the hypothetical if you don't try to do too much detail or too much really in-depth or fancy analysis on anything. You just don't have time for that. The goal is to get as many of these theories into your book as you can. It is not to do a beautiful in-depth analysis of negligence and ignore all the other theories. And that is the trap that a lot of bar candidates fall into. As I always say, if you've reached the end of this hypothetical, of this debrief, then congratulations. I know they're long. But if you can help me, I would appreciate it. Get the word out to people that we're doing this on our YouTube channel. Subscribe to the channel. Do all those good things. Comment if you would. No one is commenting on these videos, and I would really like to know what else you need to see from us that would help with your studies, whether it's in law school or in bar review.